And as you can see, we got ourselves a little over 4 shulker boxes worth of coarse dirt, which is going to be plenty for the next stage because not only can you make mud with dirt, but you can make mud with coarse dirt. And so we're going to be using this in order to make ourselves a mud farm. What up, my roomies, and welcome back to the technical guide to Minecraft. And today we're going to make ourselves a mud farm. And while I did say in the previous episode we're going to be using some of this coarse dirt, I'm thinking that amongst the 4 that we have right here, we're only going to use 2 shulker boxes worth of coarse dirt and keep the other 2 just for the sake of keeping it in the storage system, at least for now, because I do want to make more coarse dirt, but without a way for us to make dirt yet because we haven't gotten over it. I kind of don't want to use up all the coarse dirt for the sake of making mud. And so we're going to go over to the flower forest biome where we set up the flower farm and just dig around the area in order to get ourselves 2 more shulker boxes worth of regular dirt, and that way we have 4 shulker boxes worth of dirt that can be turned into mud. So yeah, let's go do that real quick.
This is the Jewel Line, Rapid Service Stream, Terracotta. This is the Jewel Line, Rapid Service Stream, Terracotta. This is the Jewel Line, Rapid Service Stream, Terracotta.
Okay, now that we got both the dirt and the coarse dirt, it's time to go over on how to turn those into mud in a way that is pretty automatic. And to understand that, welcome to GigaCore, where safety is a concern. So over here we have a smart piston, and if this looks familiar, it's because we used one of these back when we made the Wither Killer a couple episodes ago. But the concept of this is simple. With the redstone torch on the bottom, whenever there's a block on top, it'll then power this redstone dust over here, and then when the redstone dust reaches next to the piston will then activate, thus turning this redstone dust off. So if I were to demonstrate, as you saw, because the dirt allows the connection to be closed, it allows the piston to move forward, and thus making this a smart piston, because it immediately moves whatever's right next to it. And this will go on and on and on until it hits its push limit, which is 13. So right here. Now, of course, pushing a dirt forward is not going to turn this into mud. What we need is a dispenser to shoot out water bottles onto the dirt to make it into mud. And your first thought might be to just stick an observer facing downwards with redstone dust moving across with a dispenser underneath filled with water bottles. While you're kind of right, the problem is that when I put down this dirt, because the observer is going to notice a block change from the dirt moving in front of it and to the dirt turning into mud, that is 2 block changes, which means that the observer is going to send 2 redstone pulses, which will then result in the dispenser wasting a water bottle. So let me demonstrate. If I were to put down a dirt, you'll see the dispenser will shoot out 2 water bottles, and you see that the water bottle went into my inventory. And if we do it again, it'll keep going and keep dispensing out bottles. Now, this one shot out an empty bottle, but that was just because it was already inside the dispenser inventory, which is a whole different problem that we're going to tackle later on. But right now, we're tackling the issue of the dispenser being double activated because of the observer. Now, the fix to this is actually quite simple. All you need is a T flip-flop. And what that is that when this observer pulses twice, the first pulse, which will send a pulse through this white concrete, then change the dirt into mud, but will also activate the sticky piston to move this block up. Then the second pulse is going to shoot forward, and because there's nothing here, the redstone pulse is not going to be able to travel down to the dispenser, but will activate the sticky piston to bring the block back down, thus resetting this whole thing. So, to demonstrate real quick, if you put a block down, you'll see that the observer activates twice, thus allowing the dispenser to activate once and using only 1 water bottle to turn that 1 dirt into mud. But here's the thing. Here's a problem that we kind of alluded before. Right now we have an empty glass bottle inside the inventory of a dispenser. So how are we going to tackle this issue? Well, simply all we gotta do is create a T item sorter and setting the filter to glass bottles. That way, whenever a water bottle does get used, it'll get sucked up by this T item sorter and will then be placed into this barrel. So if we were to demonstrate this real quick, you'll see for a brief moment that as soon as I put down this dirt, that this is going to increase to 3, which is then going to suck the empty water bottle down into the hopper and into the barrel. Put it down. This changes to 3 for a brief moment, which indicates to us that it has successfully been sucked down. instead of being stored inside a dispenser. Okay, well that solves the empty bottle problem, but what about filling the dispenser back up with water bottles? Well, over here we have a dispenser, and the dispenser is filled with empty water bottles. And to sort of orient ourselves, the barrel that we used before behind me is now turned into a dispenser, just for everyone's continuity. And of course, if we were to activate it using the button, it'll then dispense one of the empty bottles, and it'll turn them into a water bottle. But here's the thing, because the dispenser does not have any space for the water bottle, it'll fill the glass bottle with water, but then we'll shoot it out. So let me demonstrate. We press the button, and boom, the water bottle gets shot out of the dispenser, despite the fact that all it had to do was to fill up the water bottle. Because there's no space, it had to shoot out the water bottle from its slot. So we can use this to our advantage. We're going to use a filtered redstone pulse to then play a note, which is going to be a block change according to this observer, which will then cause the dispenser to eject. The dispenser will then fill up the empty bottles and turn them into water bottles, shoot them out, and then the water bottles will then ride this water column upwards and then get put into these hoppers, which will then fill up the dispenser that is only holding the water bottles. Thus, we have a completely closed loop of empty water bottles and water bottles for this farm to keep working. Alright, so that's all neat, but how are we going to process the mud? Well, with TNT of course, but we need to make sure that it's far enough away from the mud farm in order to make sure that the farm doesn't, well, implode on itself. So over here we have a kind of modified smart piston, which instead of just powering one piston, is going to power 3 pistons. Then collecting the mud after it's been processed by the TNT duper is pretty easy. All you need is just a water collector system to just push the mud into a double chest below. It's all really that simple. If you want to play around with this, there's going to be a world download and a schematic in the description below. And with that in mind, let's head back to the technical guide world and get to it.
Quick interruption. I noticed that only 12% of you are actually subscribed to this channel. Watching this long, I must be doing something right, so if you like this video, hit that like button and please subscribe to this channel. Any support helps, and these videos take a bit long to make. Thank you so much, and back to the video.
Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and start building this mud farm. Okay, now that we're done building this, you might be wondering, why did we put this at the same area as the warp tree farm? The answer is actually quite simple. I'm running out of space here. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm running out of space here, and I didn't feel like making this over in the nether because I haven't really situated what the next level is going to be, and I feel like the industrial level that we're currently working on is meant for smaller farms, not for farms that have a scale like this. And so I figured that because this already has a TNT duper all the way at the top here, we're basically going to co-opt it to also be the collection for the mud farm that we just made. now that we got that out of the way, let's head down and see how much mud we collected. Oh yeah, that's almost 2 shulker boxes worth of mud right here in this single double chest, and 2 more shulker boxes worth of mud in this single double chest as well. So to reiterate, 4 shulker boxes worth of mud, which is going to be super useful because we're going to need mud in order to get to the next process of this whole terracotta project. And that's, of course, using this mud to create a clay farm.